Very well. Good evening and welcome to Breaking Today. My name is Frederick Muitiriri. My sign language interpreter tonight is Teresia Washira, and these are the highlights. Drama in Kisii County Assembly after a botched impeachment motion of the county's speaker. MPs threatened to shoot down the budget bill of 11 billion shillings meant for the CDF. French President Emmanuel Macron slapped in the face by a man while visiting a small town in southeastern France. Welcome to the broadcast. Now we start off at Parliament, where the budget proposal bill meant for financial year 2021-2022 is facing uncertainty. This is after members of Parliament threatened to shoot down the bill over the pending 11 billion shillings meant for the Constituency Development Fund for financial year 2020-2021. Our senior reporter Clifford Dumbi tells us the intrigues surrounding the budget bill 2021-2022.
In a move that could jeopardize the budget reading of financial year 2021-2022 is the lack of funds meant for the CDA for financial year 2020-2021. It has now been revealed that members of parliament only received 2 billion shillings of the 13.5 billion shillings which was to be allocated from the supplementary budget, funds meant for the previous financial year.
We have not been released 13.9 billion shillings for the chairman, which were promised by the CS Treasury. We had been promised, Mr. Speaker, that we'll be given 2 billion shillings per week for the month of May and June. We have only received 2 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. If this continues, Mr. Speaker, by the end of this month, we will be having a balance of 11.9 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, which was against the promise that we were given when we were discussing the issue of supplementary budget.
With 2 days remaining before Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ogier reads his historic budget for the country, members of Parliament have vowed to shoot down the proposed bill for financial year 2021-2022.
Which future are we discussing if we are not willing to finance the education, Mr. Speaker? As I said, Mr. Speaker, I'm telling the chairman, if he's going to move the motion that touches on budget, it will not happen Thursday. It's not a threat, but I'm promising you, we'll work so hard to make sure that you will not continue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
They have had that they are likely to face some headwinds when they come here. You know, it's good to prepare when you know that if you're flying a small plane, when you see heavy clouds, you don't fly it once those clouds. So I believe they have been given appropriate prior notice.
Earlier this year, members of the National Assembly threatened to paralyze House proceedings over the delayed release of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, which had accumulated to 13.5 billion, and now all eyes are on MPs if they will make true their threats. Clifford Ndubi, Switch TV.
Thank you, Cliff. Now, the Kenya National Muslims Advisory Council is now demanding the 6 judges who are not appointed and sworn in by President Uhuru Kenyatta to be sacked. The leaders were speaking during a media briefing held in Mombasa earlier today, where they demanded an investigation of the judges left out by the president. Caroline Soma reports.
Speaking during a press briefing in Mombasa, the National Muslims Advisory Council now wants the 6 judges who were not appointed by the president to be sacked. Kenmark Chair Sheikh Juma Ngao proposed that the Judicial Service Commission should not be allowed to continue serving Kenyans with integrity questions being leveled against them.
Majaji hao 6 vile umeshauriwa na intelligence kwamba wana kasoro, kwanza wafute hao 6 wende nyumbani.
Through their chairperson, the council is now challenging the Judicial Service Commission to present fresh names to the president for appointment to seal the gaps of those left out.
JC ilete majaji wengine wenye sifa stahiki wachaguliwe kwa mahakama kuu ya Kenya wahudumie wananchi.
Lawyer Edward Asitiba, however, says the removal of judges is governed by the rule of law and necessary processes must be followed.
At the same time, Article, I think 168 provides on the procedure. So the removal of judges from office is guided by the law, and there's a proper provision and due process must be followed. So you can't just wake up and say, because they have not been appointed, they be removed. That one has no legal basis. It's just hot air.
Asitiba also says Kome should not have settled for a half loaf, rather ask for a full one, demanding for the appointment of all the 40 judges if she really wants to solve the issue of backlog of cases.
The issue is, if that desperation is the issue, the more why she should have said appoint all the judges.
The Magistrates and Judges Association yesterday, however, said the president has no power to cherry-pick, as all the judges were cleared by the Judicial Service Commission, hence recommended for appointment, terming the whole process as unconstitutional.
They cleared these people. They cleared the judges to be as clean as cotton. Under which law does the president have to countermand or send back the names?
Caroline Tuma, Switch TV.
Now from the courts, now we head to Kisii, where drama ensued today at the Kisii County Assembly after division between supporters of embattled Speaker David Kombo and non-supporters brewed when police raided the premises and clobbered a number of them. Sazamunga has more.
Police in riot gear, tear gas canisters and clubs was the order of day here at the Kisii County Assembly. Chaos erupted due to a division sparked by a plan to impeach the County Assembly Speaker, David Kombo. Paul Angwenyi, who is the ward representative of Sensi Ward, said they had planned to conduct business outlined in the order paper when the police raided the assembly.
When the embattled speaker learned of the same through instructions from above, we don't know which above, they raided the assembly with the police and they destroyed properties of the Kisii County Assembly. They clobbered members of the Kisii County Assembly who were peacefully transacting business. They injured and maimed most of our members. As you can see, we want to categorically here today and say this, that the Ministry of Internal Security should desist from interfering on independent institutions like Kisii County Assembly.
Samuel Onuko, who presided the impeachment proceedings, said Kombo was sent home within the proper framework of the law.
Sad day in Kisii, a sad day in the context that we are having arms of government fighting each other. We have a mandate as a legislature to do our oversight role, to do our representation and legislation. And we are sad for the last 2 days, we are not able to do all those mandate courtesy of the interior government.
On the 26th of May, we resumed business on the same. And indeed, Kombo was impeached by the ayes garnering 47 votes and the nays garnering 21 votes. From there, Kombo became impeached and stands impeached and is no longer the Speaker of Kisii County Assembly.
Chief Minority Whip Zablon Mokuo noted that the orders are very clear and can only be voided by the court of law.
If there was any degazettement of his position, the same had been nullified. And if it was to be gazetted, the same was prevented being or stopped being gazetted.
Kisii County Assembly Minority Leader James Ondari said the continued divisions in the assembly have derailed development, and as ward reps, they are yet to initiate discussions on the county budget. Sazamunga, Switch TV.
We stay in Western Kenya, where for more than 5 years, Mumias Sugar Company has been witnessing increased losses due to poor management and stiff competition from other millers in the region. Recently, political influence and talks from quarters in the regions have chased away investors.
The collapse of Mumias Sugar Company has adversely affected the residents of Kakamega County, as sugarcane farming has been the economic mainstay for a long time. The factory was established in 1971 following the feasibility study report by the Buka Agriculture and Technical Service Group that had been commissioned by the government in 1967 to carry out the exercise. At that time, the government held majority shares at 71%, while minority were held by the Commonwealth Development Corporation at 17%, while Kenya Commercial Finance Company
Booker McConnell and the East African Development Bank had a cumulative 12% of shares. The miller's production increased, steadily hitting a climax in the 1980s and 1990s, then becoming the leader in the East and Central Africa. Its shares were listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange in 2001, and the government shareholding reduced to 20%. However, the company's production trajectory assumed a downward trend a few years later, thanks to financial impropriety by the top managers. Mumias Sugar Company Limited shares was suspended from trading at the Nairobi Security Exchange in 2018. This follows the appointment of a receiver manager by KCB Bank after the sugar miller defaulted on loans. Mumias was Kenya's leading producer of sugar at more than 250,000 tons a year, but the poor management has piled up loans and losses over the years. The firm's losses in the year ending June 2018 rose to 15.1 billion from 6.8 billion in the previous year. As at June 2018, Mumias loans stood at 12.5 billion at the end of June 2018. It owed KCB 545 million, Ecobank Kenya Limited 2 billion, French Development Finance Institution Propaco 1.9 billion, and Commercial Bank of Africa 401 million. It also owes Treasury 3.1 billion and Kenya Sugar Board 1.6 billion. It was also operating on bank overdrafts worth 2.7 billion from various lenders.
Msali anapigia huyo investor, anamwambia ya kwamba ati yeye ndio kiongozi ya Western. Huyo investor anafanya Mumias kama hajaongea na yeye.
Over the past few weeks, heated exchange has ensued between different politicians and leaders over the management of the sugar company. Riots have been witnessed in Mumias from different factions over the takeover of Mumias factory.
Kitu ambacho hakuambii peupe ya kwamba ni nini anataka apewe. Angekuwa peupe angekuambia anataka apewe. Kama angepewa hii mambo ya Mumias, hii kelele yote haungeona.
Devki, group of companies withdrew a bid to list Mumias Sugar Company on Friday. The group had expressed interest in reviving the miller following an invitation by the receiver manager KCB. Kenya Commercial Bank on 2019 placed the company on receivership. Namukana Samuel, Switch TV, Nairobi.
All right, you're watching Breaking Today live from Red Cross headquarters where Switch TV is based, and we're taking now a short commercial break. We'll be back with more in a short while. Welcome back. Now, members of the National Assembly today gave their tributes to former 9th Parliament legislator for Kibwezi constituency Richard Kalembendile, who died on 30th of May at the Nairobi hospital. The members of parliament described Kalembendile as a man who stood for the ideals of the national anthem, terming him as an advocate of unity and peace. The legislators also announced funeral arrangements, encouraging their colleagues to stand with the family at this moment. Kalembendile will be laid to rest on June 11th at his Mbuinzao home in Makueni County.
In condoling with the family, relatives and friends of our departed colleague, the Honorable Kalembendile. Mr. Speaker, I didn't have time or occasion to interact closely with the late Kalembendile, but of course, being a public figure, Honorable Kalembendile came out as a charismatic leader.
The public would demand that Kalembe addresses them. And really, as a region and also as a country, we've lost a very great leader. And my prayer is that the Almighty God will be able to continue protecting the family as well as comforting them.
A leader who had a lot to say, especially in a way that you will understand better, in a common man language, in a way that you will laugh but understand properly what he meant and what he wanted. Honorable Speaker, I did interact with him when he visited me in Narok, Honorable Speaker, and we kept on laughing throughout. But there is a lot that I learned from him, especially that there is a possibility for a son of squatter in this country to become a member of parliament. There is a possibility for a son of a peasant to become a president in this republic.
Now, following speculations of boundaries being moved in Narok County, tensions has risen between Narok leaders and leaders of the Tangatanga movement, with the Narok North MP Moitalel Ole Kenta accusing the leaders of scheming ways of causing division among the people of Narok due to their numerous failed attempts of gaining entry into the county. Now, the legislator has further urged the Deputy President, William Ruto, to reprehend the leaders said to be his allies from inciting some of the Narok communities for their political gain, specifically calling out the Bahati MP Kimani Ngunjiri to keep off Narok politics and focus on Nakuru politics instead.
Na nikataka kumwambia Ruto mwenyewe, hawa viongozi wako ambao unajaribu kuleta Narok kutoka Nakuru, kutoka Central, kutoka mali ingine kuja kututanganisha sababu umeshindwa kuingia Narok, tafadhali warudishe.
Hii inji hatutaki uchokozi kwa sababu sisi tumekuwa watu wa amani sana, na hatutaki uchokozi ya watu kutoka upande ingine na kuja hapa kutuambia watafuta.
We take on a rather funny story from France, where French President Emmanuel Macron has been slapped in the face by a man while visiting a small town in southeastern France. In a video circulating on social media, a man behind a metal barrier in a large crowd is seen slapping the president, and immediately security guards tackle the man. Harriet Chimea brings us the story.
French President Emmanuel Macron, dressed in shirt sleeves, is seen approaching a crowd in Drôme region in southeastern France, where he met restaurants and students to talk about life returning to normalcy after the COVID-19 epidemic. But a turn of events took place when the French president reached out his hand to greet one man in a green t-shirt with glasses and a face mask, when the man suddenly slapped him on his face. Two of Macron's security details tackled the man in the green t-shirt, while another ushered Macron away. The identity of the man who slapped Macron and his motives were unclear. However, this is not the first time a sitting president has been attacked in public. Former President George Bush, in December 14, 2008, was attacked during a press conference in Iraq after a journalist, Al-Zaidi, threw both of his shoes at the then United States president. President Bush ducked twice to avoid being hit by the flying shoes, as his guards quickly intervened in the situation. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Harriet Chimea.
Imagine that was an African president. Just imagine. Now, a South African woman has set the new world record after giving birth to 10 babies in a hospital in Pretoria. Gosiame Tamara Sihole, 37-year-old, underwent cesarean operation to give birth to 7 boys and 3 girls, making her the Guinness record holder for the most children birthed by one woman at once. Reports further indicate that Sihole and her husband Teboho Sotetsi were expecting 8 babies, but 2 babies had apparently missed the scan due to the fact that they were tucked inside the wrong tube. Ten babies. 10 babies. Wow. Where do you start? Well, the European Union Security Council has made a landmark ruling that restricts articles published on terrorist and terrorism activities to only an hour. The national authorities will also be expected to hand over a report on the amount of content removed, measures to identify and remove the content. David Kagina with more.
Landmark European Union rule on addressing the dissemination of terrorist content online entered into force today. Platforms will have to remove terrorist content referred by member states' authorities within 1 hour. According to the European Union Security Council, the rules will also help to counter the spread of extremist ideologies online, a vital part of preventing attacks and addressing radicalization. The rules, however, include strong safeguards to ensure full respect of fundamental rights such as freedom of expression and information. The regulation will also set transparency obligations for online platforms and for national authorities to report on the amount of terrorist content removed, the measures used to identify and remove content, the outcomes of complaints and appeals, as well as the number and types of penalties imposed on online platforms, with member states being able to sanction non-compliance and to decide on the level of penalties which will be proportionate to the nature of the infringement. The size of the platform will also be taken into consideration so as not to impose unduly high penalties relative to the platform's size. Member states and online platforms offering services in the EU now have 1 year to adapt their processes. The regulation applies as of 7th June 2022. This being termed as a huge milestone in Europe's counter-terrorism and anti-radicalization response. David Kagina, Switch TV.
Now matters business, where President Uhuru Kenyatta has arrived in Addis Ababa for an official working visit. The president landed at the Bole International Airport on Tuesday afternoon, where he was received by senior government officials, including Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Uhuru was accompanied by Cabinet Secretaries Rachel Omamo of Foreign Affairs and Joe Mushero, CSICT. During his visit, Uhuru scheduled to witness the issuance of telecommunication license to Safaricom. Now, cryptocurrency is a big business. Despite only coming into public consciousness a decade ago with the invention of Bitcoin, it's developed into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Despite its growth, for many people not involved in tech, cryptocurrency is still a big unknown. Apollo James brings us the answers to some questions you might have.
Let's talk about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency isn't physical money, it exists only online. But remember, today most money is online. Think about those paycheck deposits into your account or how you can tap your debit card at a store. It's a digital currency that exists in zeros and ones in some computer somewhere. But money is government issued, and in such, we all agree to respect it as being worth something. You, me, corporations, banks, we all adhere to the idea that $10 is $10. That's where cryptocurrency is different. It isn't issued by a government or bank. Bitcoin was invented in 2008 by an anonymous inventor who calls themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. Nakamoto developed what's called a decentralized system. Now, traditional bank is a centralized system. All payments enter and leave through one central hub, whether a debit card on your account or check or a request from the teller. If you make a deposit or withdrawal at a bank, it's all recorded on the bank's ledger. Bitcoin uses a kind of ledger too, a decentralized virtual one. It's a string of letters and numbers that exist in the online world. In order for people to have trust in it, Bitcoin still needs to have checks and balances to be as secure as the national currency or money in the bank, and that's where Bitcoin's ledger comes in, called
the blockchain. A blockchain is a time-stamped or virtual ledger that holds a growing list of transactions. Each copy updates at the exact same time, keeping the system accurate, and the copies are updated through something called Bitcoin mining. Here's how. Some of the people holding the ledger are miners. They're not mining for gold or precious metals. Instead, their computers are put to work mining blocks of data. These blocks help them act as auditors for the blockchain. These miners are trying to check the letter number combination of that particular Bitcoin transaction, so they do this by solving a math puzzle unique to that transaction. Once the puzzle is solved and the miner finds the right number, it proves that this is the only time that Bitcoin has been sent. When all the people holding the ledger confirm they're on the same page, they record that transaction. How do miners get paid? You guessed it, Bitcoin. The miners have an incentive to keep doing the auditing work and to keep the currency going, meaning there's no need for a bank or government body to manage all that money. Even though all those Bitcoin transactions are public, we have no idea who the people behind them are. Like Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin's inventor, his or her or their identity is still a total mystery. Apollo James, Switch TV.
Bitcoin. Wow. Thank you, Apollo. Now, matter sports. Red Bull has named Sebastien Ogier a 7-time world champion among the 8 rally drivers set to compete in the upcoming FIA World Rally Championship between the 24th and 27th of June 2021. Fresh off his WRC victory in Italy on Sunday, the championship points leader Sebastien Ogier spoke about his preparations for the upcoming Safari Rally and shared the inspiration with the young rally drivers in Kenya in a virtual meeting event organized by Red Bull.
A big Kenyan fan base here, and a lot of Toyota fans are waiting for you here. I don't know how big, how aware you are. Your name in Kenya is quite big in the motorsport scene, so we're all looking forward to see you. So
I had to do my best to keep it up to the end and secure another victory. So no, of course, I didn't really plan to win this rally. So I think it can play a big role one more time.
All right, Football Kenya Federation is set to roll out their second COVID-19 vaccination for all Premier League clubs, although the officials are excluded from the exercise. Due to the shortages of the vaccine, FKF CEO Barry Otieno has indicated that only 25 members from each club in the 18-team league will get the second dose starting from 11th of June. The second vaccination is timely as it has come at a time when the Federation is rushing to finish the FKF Premier League, which has already been halted once due to the coronavirus pandemic. All right, my director is telling me my time in studio is up, and from myself and the whole team that was behind this bulletin, it's a good night. My name is Frederick Mitiriri. Teresia Washira was our sign language interpreter. Good night.